Welcome to our next homework review video. This is going to focus on the task for year 4 and it's going to look at block 5 week 1 and the topic is verbal reasoning. First of all, let's have a look at the homework overview just so you're clear about the tasks that are going to be covered. So we've got the Bond Key Stage 2 Spelling and Vocabulary Workbook 9 to 10, pages 3 to 10. We've also got the CGP Verbal Reasoning GL book, the 8 to 9 book, and this will cover tests 1, 2 and 3 on pages 2 to 9. And we'll also have a look at Puzzles 1 on page 6. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to complete those tasks. This video just will go through the answers just so you're clear and you can sort of mark alongside this video, or you can certainly go to any questions that you might have found a little bit more challenging. So let's have a look at test 1. The focus really within this test is very much on the alphabet, having a good knowledge of the alphabet, knowing the position of those different letters. So the first thing that we need to do is very much refer to the alphabet that we've got written down, and often with a lot of code questions that you get in the 11 plus, they actually provide the alphabet for you. So get really familiar with it, understand the position of those different letters. I often think as well it's worth considering the fact that when you split it down the middle, we've kind of got that mirrored alphabet as well, so it sort of goes A, Z, B, Y, C, X and continually up until M and N. So let's have a look at the first question. Which letter is at position 6 in the alphabet? So counting the 6th position, you would have F. I think certainly some reference points here would be good. So you know probably that E is the 5th letter and then counting on, or you can just start from A and count on 6 letters. If the alphabet was written backwards, which letter would be at position 4? So again, we go to the end of the alphabet. Let's count back. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got the W there. So that would be the 4th letter. What is the alphabet position of the last letter of the word topic? So the last letter in topic is C. Let's go and have a look where C comes, and this would be in the 3rd position. If all the letters in the word rug were removed from the alphabet, which letter would be in position 19 of the new alphabet? So what we would do here is eliminate those letters within rug. So let's do that first of all. So let's get rid of the R, let's get rid of the U, let's get rid of the G, and then we're going to count 19. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, miss out G, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So the 19th position will be the V. Moving on now to the next part of this test 1. These are what we call letter sums and can be really useful for your basic arithmetic skills, knowing your addition, your subtraction, your multiplication and your division. And it's really about substitution here. So every single question has a different code. So we can see here on question 5, A is 2, B is 4, C equals 8, D is 12 and E is 16. So with E, we know that represents 16, so we can write that underneath. And then we're going to divide. It's really important you look carefully at what operation you've got. And then C represents 8. So if we do 16 divided by 8, we know that we get 2. But rather than writing 2, we're actually going to represent the answer with the letter. So in this instance, it'll be an A because that is equivalent to 2. So it's really important when you get onto the next question, you refer to the next code. You don't use the code for question 5. Each question has its own unique code. So let's do these relatively quickly. A is 2. What are we timesing it by? Well, C is 5 and the answer is 10. So that gives us a D. Then have a look at question 7. We've got 6 plus 11, which is 17, and that gives us D again as well. Having a look at question 8, we've got B is 5. This one's a little bit longer. A is 4, and we're then going to subtract 11. So 5 times 4 is 20, and then we're going to subtract 11 gives us 9, and that again is going to be D. Having a look at the next question type, underline the word which has the most similar meaning to the word in capitals. So I've got an example here where we've got quiet and silent, and then we've got number 9 is remark. So if you remark on something, you comment on it. Question 10, collision. Now if you have a collision, certainly if you think about cars colliding, then that is going to be a crash. So both of those mean when two objects hit each other. Number 11, perhaps, is maybe, sort of possibly. And number 12, bent is crooked. So both words mean not straight. Moving on to the next questions. What we need to do here is remove one letter from the word in capitals to make a new word. But there is a clue given in brackets. And then we need to record the new word on the line. So we've got dime, and then we've got not bright. Well, of course, that would be dim. So we're removing the E. So first one, number 13, we've got host, and then we've got the clue is temperature. And of course, if we remove the S, we're left with the word hot. Number 14, we've got break, and then a part of a bird would be the beak. So if we remove, we've got a little bird there to give us a bit of a clue on this one. You can see it's big beak there. We're removing the R. Now there is a question type within the 11 plus which involves moving one letter into another word. So this is really good for your vocabulary. Number 15, we've got great, and then we've got a door in a fence. And of course, if we remove the R here, we get the word gate. So this is all about just building up your word knowledge, getting familiar with lettering and spellings. Number 16, we've got bright, and then this word means correct. So if we remove the B, we'll be left with right. So well done if you've got those correct. So obviously as you go down through, if you get them correct, give them a tick. If you do get any wrong, just have a little look and see if you can understand why. There should also be somewhere as well in your book to actually record down your scores. There's a little progress grid also at the back of the CGP book to use as well. So moving on to test 2, and it does allow you 10 minutes, but certainly if you find you need a bit longer, that's fine. We tend to focus more on time management later on in the course, but if you want to time yourself for 10 minutes, see how you get on, see how many questions you get through, that can be a good way of working through your little test that you've got in this book here. So let's have a look at test 2 and what this is going to involve from questions 1 to 5. So we're going to be looking now at trying to work out a letter that goes into the gap to spell 2 new words. And I think it's important to realise that it's not just one word we're creating here, but it's 2. So having a look at question 1, what we're going to think about here is what letter can I put at the end of B-E-A, and also then we'll start this word with the O-A-R ending. Well, it'll be an R because we can spell bear as in a grizzly bear and then roar. So just write the letter on the line. Number 2, we're going to have an L because it's going to spell well and land. Number 3 is going to be R for near and robe. And then 4 is smug and glue. And then the last one is high and huge. So again, go down through. Hopefully you've got all of those. One thing you can do with this type of question as well is maybe to write the alphabet out and then use the letters and go through. In those, interestingly, they were all consonants, but also recognising that you can use the vowels as well. Right, so this is a little code question here. So we're going to use the number codes for the words you're given to answer the questions, and you're going to write your answer on the line. So if the code for day, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to write down the word day, and then very clearly just write its code above. So we've got 1 is the D, 2 is the A, 4 is the Y, and we've also got here a code for pot, and the code for pot is 3, 5 and a 6. So to find the code for the word toy, we know that the T is a 6, we know that the O is a 5, and we know that the Y is a 4. So it's 6, 5, 4. Then we've got to find the code for pad. So pad, the P is the 3, the A is the 2, and the D is the 1. So there we go, 3, 2, 1. And then find the word that has the number code 623. So it's like the other way around, rather than giving us the word, it's giving us the code. So 6 will be the T, 2 will be the A, and the 3 will be P. So the word we were looking for there is tap. So again, well done if you managed to get that correct. And again, go down through, give it a little tick. Did you get it wrong? Was it perhaps you didn't have the numbers quite lined up with the correct letters, or you didn't quite write down accurately the letters or the numbers? So trying to be systematic with those kind of questions. Now, these again rely on the use of the alphabet. So it's all about counting. So we're going to be working from the first letter of each pair, and then we're actually going to move to the second letter of each pair, and then apply the same rules to the letters that we're given to work out the codes for. So let's start by doing question 9. So we're going to go from I to J. Let's have a little look and see what that will be. So that is just moving forward 1. And then we're going to go to C. Now, interestingly, on these, if we use the alphabet here, we can also see there's a little bit of an element of making sure that we're counting accurately. So when we go from I to J, we're going forward 1, so that will give us a D. And then A to B is also forward 1, so X forward 1 gives us Y, so it's DY. So I was just having a look, it looks like we've left out the answer to number 9 there, but there you are, DY. And then let's go to 10. So we're going to go from G to B. So we're going to count backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 backwards. So we're going to go to M, go backwards 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So very useful, obviously, having the alphabet there, is H. And then W to R is also back 5, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to go to Y backwards 5. Going to go along the top this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give us T. Then N. So sometimes if you're obviously doing this in pencil, it's a good idea then to maybe rub out your alphabet if it starts to get a little bit messy and unclear, just so you can follow your next one. So N to K is going to be backwards 3. And then I backwards 3, 1, 2, 3 gives me an F for the first letter. And then the second letter is S to P. And that's also back 3, you can see. And then L back 3, 1, 2, 3 gives me an I. Now the last one here, we've got O to L. So let's go backwards 3, yeah. So, and then we're going to do O to L backwards 3, and then Q backwards 3. 1, 2, 3 gives me an N. And then let's go to the next one. K to N is forward 3. U forward 3. 1, 2, 3 gives me an X. So it's NX. Now these are really good fun. What we've got to do here is find the two words that should be swapped in order for each sentence to make sense. Underline both words. So in the example, I dishes the washed should be I washed the dishes. So those two words swap places and then the sentence will make sense. So we need to find the two words and just underline them. So often reading the sentence first will give you an idea to the context of the sentence. I asked directions for someone. I asked someone for directions. So if you swap those two words. The it's hid in Foxburrow. The fox hid in its burrow. Belongs to the burrow belongs to the fox. Number 15. His chattered teeth in the cold. So his teeth chattered in the cold. Number 16. Tigers don't pets good make. So we need to swap make and pets around. So tigers don't make good pets. And again, go down through if you manage to underline those correct words. Okay, on to test 3 now. Now we've got another letter sequence question here. These are slightly different than the other ones that we were looking at, which were the letter analogies. These are what we call double letter series, but the same rules apply, that we are going to go from the first letter of each pair and move along. So F to E is backwards 1. So I'm just going to write the steps here so we know. E to D is also backwards 1. So we can sort of see very clearly what's going on here. D to C is -1. So we need a -1 from C, which will give us B. So that's the first letter done. And then we can have a look at the second letter. And the second letter goes from N to M, which is also backwards 1. M to L, backwards 1 again. L to K, backwards 1. So K backwards 1 gives us J. So BJ. So each letter in the pair moves back 1 letter each time. Now let's move on to question 2. So we've got T to S. What's happening from T to S? Also going backwards 1. S to Q though is -2. So I can maybe see a little pattern here. Q to P is -1. So we now need to -2 from P. And then we get N. Then we're going to do the second letter. U to R is -3. R to O is -3. And then O to L is -3. So if we go to L and -3, 1, 2, 3, you get I. So NI is number 2. Number 3, we're going to go G to D, which is backwards 3. And then D to A is also backwards 3. Now this is an interesting one because we've actually got to A and we've got to decide where we're going to go. But of course we're going to go to the other end of the alphabet. Now one way to do this as well is to add a few letters. I just always add about 5 letters to the end of the alphabet just to help me. Because you have to remember that A to Z is a jump. So if we're going from A to X, 1, 2, 3 backwards, then we need to go 3 further back from X. So we go 1, 2, 3, and we get U. So the first letter is U. Then we're going to go to the second letter. L to N is +2. N to P is +2. P to R +2. +2 from R gives me T. So you can see as you get more confident with these questions, maybe less jottings you're going to make. Obviously going to do them a little bit quicker as well. N to Q, we've got to go forwards 3. So Q to T is also forward 3. T to W, so W forward 3. 1, 2, 3. We get to the last letter of the alphabet and we get Z. Then we're going to do M to J, and we're going to go backwards 3. J to G, backwards 3. G to D, backward 3. And then we go backward 3 from D. 1, 2, 3. We get to the first letter of the alphabet. So the answer is ZA. So well done if you got those correct. If you're not quite sure about the jumps, the answer explanations are here and very clearly tell you what happens from the first letter of each pair and also the second letter of each pair as well. Moving on now to the next set of questions, you need to underline the word which has the most opposite meaning to the word in capitals. So, brilliant, what's the most opposite? It would be awful. Beaming, we've got scowling. Sort of beaming is to smile, scowling is sort of frowning and staring and maybe glaring. And number 7, we've got hasty, which means to be quick, and then slow. Arrival, when you think about an airport here, we've got the arrivals, and then we've got the departure. So arrival and departure are the opposites there. So again, if there's any words, even within the answer options that you didn't know the meanings of, make sure you write those and record those down in your word and meaning book. On these questions, we need to add 1 letter to the word in capitals to make a new word, and there's a clue in brackets. So you might remember in the earlier ones we had to remove a letter. On this one, we're very much thinking about adding 1 letter. So number 9, what you do to a book? Well, of course you read a book. So we've got the word read. We're going to add in the A for read. Tool, a type of seat. We're going to add the S to give us stool. You sit on a stool. Rig, and then a type of jewellery. We're going to add an N, and that's going to give us a ring for your finger. And number 12, got spar, and then little flash, we've got spark. So again, go down through. If you've got those all correct, give them a tick. Now, with these questions, they're like logical questions. So you have to read them through and then work out which of the statements above are true. Only one of the statements below cannot be true. Which one is it? And circle the correct answer. Okay? So you've got the characters at the top. So read through the information. So we've got Micah, Amelia, Rudy and Serena. They collect autographs. And Micah has 6 autographs. Amelia has half as many autographs as Micah. Rudy has 1 autograph more than Amelia. Serena has twice as many autographs as Rudy. So the way I would work this out is I'd write their initials down. And as their initials are all different, that really helps you. So the M, we know that, and we've been given that information. So we know he has 6. Amelia has half as many, so we know that she has 3. And then Rudy has 1 more autograph than Amelia, so we know Rudy's got 4. Therefore, he cannot have 9. So the only person that we're not really told about is Serena, so we can't really work that one out. So if the statements above are true, only one statement cannot be true. So Rudy has 9 autographs. Well, that's not correct. So in actual fact, that's our first answer. So we know, because we're looking at the one that cannot be true, that has to be the correct answer, because Rudy has got 4. So well done if you got that correct. And then moving on to the next question, we've got Jamal, Aisha, Connor, Luca and Amber are playing computer games. Amber and Jamal both won 2 games. Luca has won twice as many as Jamal. Connor has won 1 game fewer than Amber. Aisha needs to win 1 more game to win as many as Luca. Right, so again, what we're going to do here is we're going to create that little table. We're going to do it as a tally chart this time. So we've got Jamal, Aisha, Connor, Luca and Amber. So Amber and Jamal have both won 2 games. So Amber we're going to do as a tally there, and then Jamal we're also going to do. In actual fact, because we've got 2 A's, we're going to make that one Amber and then that one Aisha down there, otherwise we're going to get a little bit confused. Unlike 13 where all their initials were different, here we've got 2 that are the same, so it's worth just putting their next letter. So we've got Amber and Jamal both won 2 games. Luca has won twice as many as Jamal, so we know then that Luca wins 4. Connor has won 1 fewer game than Amber, so Connor's only won 1 game. And then Aisha needs to win 1 more game to win as many as Luca. So that means that Aisha has won 3 games. So we can have a look down through. We need to find the one that must be true. So Aisha and Amber have won the same number of games. Well, that's not true, because Amber won 2, Aisha won 3. Connor hasn't won any games yet. Well, that's not true, because he won 1 game. Luca has won every game he's played. Well, no, that can't be right. Luca has won 5 games. No, we know that we've got Luca with 4. And then Connor has won 1 game. Well, we know that that must be correct, because Connor has won 1 game fewer than Amber, so he must have won just 1 game. Right, moving on to the last part of your homework here is to have a look at Puzzles 1. Now, I think in actual fact you can certainly use the answers here to guide you a little bit on here. We'll just make these a little bit bigger. and let's have a look and see what we have to do. So first one is called Crazy Race. There's been some confusion at this year's Crazy Race, and the racers don't know who's won. Use your alphabet knowledge to answer the questions below and work out who wins. All the racers finished in alphabetical order. So who finished last? Well, it would be Wild Wheels, because the W is the letter that comes nearest the end of the alphabet. So Wild Wheels finished last. So again, you can write Wild Wheels down. It's a good name, isn't it, for a racing character. Wild Wheels. And then Rotten Roller was disqualified for cheating. Who came fourth? Well, if the skaters are placed in alphabetical order, Rotten Roller comes fourth. However, as Rotten Roller is disqualified for cheating, Skater Steve takes fourth place. So it's Skater Steve in fourth. I would suggest as well on this that you actually write above the positions they came in. That might really help you. And then moving on to the next one, how many races finished before Hasty Horse? Well, it would be 2, because B and D both appeared before H in the alphabet, so 2 races finished before Hasty Horse, so 2. And then who was the winner? Well, it'll be Bumbling Bus. B is the letter that comes nearest the start of the alphabet, so the winner was Bumbling Bus. And then finally, I'm going to have a little look at the mystery message. And then hopefully we've then gone through all the tasks for this week. So there are 4 hidden words in the message below. Each word is 4 letters long, and it's hidden at the end of one word and the start of the next. Find them and complete the secret task. So, my mum, you don't necessarily need to read the sentence really, but what you're doing is you're trying to look between the gaps. So if you look between my and mum, don't see a 4-letter word there. But if you go between read and raw, you've got the word draw. So I'm just going to write, because remember this is a secret message. So we've got draw first. Then we're going to go down and have a look between so and mean to get some. So draw some, or what have we got to do? And then if we go down between Erica and keeps, we've got the word cake. These 4-letter words. So draw some cake. And then finally, between her and every, we've got the word here. So hidden 4-letter words. Draw some cake here. Oh, so that's exactly what you should do. So on the table there's a little arrow. Hopefully you can draw yourself a little cake there. Put some candles on it, and that'll be your drawing of your cake.
Reminder of what we're going to be covering off. We're going to look over the homework from Block 5, Week 1. We're going to select any challenging questions that require more explanation. Ensure homework marks are recorded to help track progress and will direct you into the right place. First part of your homework review, we're actually going to be looking at your spelling and your vocabulary workbook. So can I ask you to have that out and ready? Just hold it up to the screen just so you can see which book it is. It's this book here, okay, the Bond book. So if I could ask you please to go to Unit 1, and this is on page 3. So we're going to have a look at the first task that you had to do. So what we had here was we had a word search that we needed to do. All of your words down the side, so down the right hand side, are hidden in the word search. But there are some letters that are left over, and you had to work out what those letters spelt. So if you'd done the word search, most of the words hopefully were sort of covered up, or most of the letters were covered up, but you do have some letters that are left over. And the letters that are left over spell words with E and A. So hopefully you managed to work that out. That was your first little task in your homework. And then the next part of your homework in section B, directly underneath, this is still on page 3, you had to remove one letter from each of the following words to make a new word. So what we would certainly suggest here is that as you go down through your homework, you can mark it. So I just get a green. So any you've got correct, so if you've got baker, father. You can have two options here, haven or heave. Haven is like a refuge, somewhere safe for you to stay, haven. Then you've got waken, heap and chap, health, heat, what, and you can have three options here, so any of these would get you the mark. And wet, wet means to sharpen the blade of, so that might be a new word for some of you. If it is, brilliant, so you may have gone for heat or what. And then we've got fret and we've got treat. So well done if you managed to get those correct. Section C, that's underneath. Again, lots of options on this first one. What do we have to do? We'll place the first letter of each of the following words to make a new word. So it's the first letter. Just underline the first letter just so you know what you're looking at. And there's lots of options on some of these. We've got number 1, you can have peak, leak, teak or weak. I'm going to change colour this time. I'll go for red. Good if you got that right. If you do get any wrong, just put a dot and then you can easily come back to it and see why. Okay. So we've got heath here, wealthy, weaker, heather, weather and leather, and then we've got cheat there. There may possibly be other possibilities, but do double check that they are words. So that's the end of the first page. Let's turn over now and see how you fared on page 4. Top of page 4, you had to find the 3-letter words that go in or are hidden inside these longer words. So again, I'm just going to leave that on the screen. This might be a point for you to pause the video. So you've got hum, art, dot, bud, sty, like a pigsty. Fee, con, when you con someone, swindle them, defraud them. Ivy, tin, gum. Wry, like a wry smile. Sort of using an expression, obviously often used in the sort of mocking terms, their wry smile. Dye, that's dye as in dyeing your clothes. Ban, cob, some of you may not have heard of cob before. You can have a cob as in a type of pony, but cob I think also means a small loaf, like a small loaf of bread. And then we've got gap and shy. So well done if you managed to get 16 out of 16 there. You can always write your score underneath, and obviously as you go down through you can give them a nice tick to show that you've got them correct. You can make your ticks nice and neat. I'm sure a lot neater than the ones I'm doing now. You can go down through and give them a tick if you've got them right. So well done. Let's go on to the next one. We need to place one of your words. Again, these words come from the side in each space below, using each word only once. So what they're saying is you can't say sty and sty. You can only use it once in each particular question that you've got on the side. Okay, you can use it again later on. You can see, look, I've used sty there, sty there. I've also used fee, I think, twice. Yes, I've used fee there. So yeah, a few times I've doubled up, but I haven't repeated the same word in the same set of questions. Can award some half marks here. So if you only get one right, you can have half a mark. But if you get all right, you can have 1 point or 1 mark. Okay, put 1 point there if you've got them all right. So again, go down through, double check that they're correct. Reading each one separately as you go along, just checking. So again, well done if you got 14 out of 14 there. Just going to write 14 over 14 if you did manage to get those all correct. Now we're going to have a look at the top of page 5. Another little word search. Good fun, these word searches. Good to sort of test your knowledge of spelling a little bit as well. And the letters that were left over should have spelt these words all use TH or CH. So again, pause the video if you want, just to double check you got it right. If you were, when you were doing it, if you found, oh, I had too many letters left over, maybe it's because you didn't get all of the words. And what I might have suggested to you is as you're going down through, you actually tick the words off in that column down on the right hand side. Okay. So well done if you got all of those. Shall we move on? Have a little look at this. Yeah, these are opposite in meaning. I've already underlined that for you. We're going to be doing some synonyms down here, but we actually started with opposite. So the words had to come from over here. So take, and these are in alphabetical order, so it makes it easier to find. Take and fetch are opposites. Number 2, got weakness and strength. And then we've got poverty and wealth. So again, give these ones a tick if you manage to select the right words. Then we've got a synonym of the word that is similar to the one on the left hand side. So we've got nip and pinch, clump and bunch together, strength and power, a hutch like a rabbit hutch. Wealth and riches, depth, hunch. That's a good word. If you have a hunch, you have an instinct. I've got a hunch of something. And then we've got church. So again, well done if you got those right. And then if we turn over to the next page, hopefully you see these. I'll put the words down the side here for you, just so hopefully you would be sort of, because place one of your words in each space so that the sentence makes sense. I think we only use the words once. Yes, we do. So as you're doing them, so if I use lace on the first one, maybe you could either cross through it or give it a little tick so you've used it. Okay, let's choose to red this time. So again, let's go down through. We've got lace, tape, tune, a cove, that's like a sheltered bay, an ape, fate, frame, spoke, rate, cave, kite, bore, that's like to bore down, wove or drill a hole to bore, wove, tone, drake is a male duck, and then rake. So again, write down your score out of 16. If you've got any wrong, don't worry. You can easily go back and double check. But as you were going down through, it might have been quite a good idea just to tick these words off as you use them. Just tick them off. And then what you could do is a sort of a process of elimination. If you did have any left over, because you should have used, I think, all of the words. I think, yeah, they were all used, I think, weren't they? Yeah. You can think, oh, right, I didn't use that one. Does that fit into that space? Quite good for closed passages, that particular task. Right, change the first letter in each of the following words to make a new word. So again, we're looking at the first letter on here. Just going to underline those first letters for you. So it's the first letter, and then it will change it into a new word. So just make sure we underline the first letter so we know what we're looking at. I think you'll know all of these. Anyone you may not have heard of is gape. Gape is like staring, gaping at something. Okay. I'm going to leave that up there on the screen for the moment, and then just allow you to go down through and check them. There would be possibly some other options, I think, on those as well. Possibly, yeah, you could possibly have other options. So if you're not sure, just check with either looking them up in the dictionary and just double check. So well done. If you've got all of those right. Apologies, I think my love tick is behind me, but I have ticked that one off for you. Okay, let's have a look at the top of page 7. These are all fruits, and once you'd found all the fruits, you would have been left with words that are fruit. Okay, so that would be the letters that you're left over with once you found all the words in the word search. So it might be worth just double checking you did all that okay. Now what we've got here is we've got to find the 3-letter words that are hidden in these words. Just notice on question 4 you could have had ape or rap, and rhubarb you could have bar or hub. Hub is like somewhere central, the hub, often referred to as like a city hub. We've got cot, ban, her, ape, rap, man, and pea, pin, and raw. Okay, so again, well done. You can always pause. That's the advantage of these homework videos. If you want to pause it, you can, just to give you a bit of time. Obviously ticking them quite quickly, but you might need to be sort of checking them as you're going down through. Right, we're now going to go over to a crossword. This crossword was had clues underneath for a cross and down, and then it's a case of sort of filling in the letters. I tend to find that when you're doing, say for example, when you're doing the ones going across, so if I just get a pen here and just show you what I mean. So across, it's obviously going that way, so going horizontally, and then down, we're looking at the words going downwards in the crossword. So what I tend to do is say, number 1, to physically harm. Well, that's actually damage. So if we just look at our answers here, here's damage. And I might have used then that D to give me a clue to what's coming down here. So that was download. And we do have the words down here that filter in. So if you really weren't sure, you could have easily used these. And again, what you could have done, I guess, is sort of cross them out as you use them. Because I guess you only use one word once in the crossword. Crosswords are great fun. Maybe you can make up your own crossword. That would be good fun. Send it in to us if you want to. Okay, we're now going to go underneath and we're going to have a little look at what we've got here. Well, these, because all of these words down the side are what we call compound words, these are when we stick 2 or more words together. So think of football, or you can have some unusual ones like so and me for some, or even words that when you put them together they don't sound like they're going to be compound words. So if I said feet her, well, that actually spells feather. There are some quite challenging compound words out there. If I put, for example, see and thing together, seething. So there are some really difficult ones. But what you've got to do here, you've been given A, and A sort of classifies as a word in this situation. You've got a go, a while, away, blackberry, blackboard, blackbird, armpit, armhole and armband. I think to get the mark you need to get all three, or you need to have three. There are other options, so again do look it up if you're not sure in your dictionaries, if you weren't sure whether it is a compound word. But compound words are not hyphenated, they have to be together. Okay, like we've got the example here, daytime, daybreak, daylight. Sometimes with this it's always nice to try and see if there are other words that go with those words on the left. Helpful hint, compound words are made up of two or more smaller words, as we said. This can help you with your spellings, especially when the compound word does not sound like its component word. Okay, so we've got another crossword here. Well, sorry, not quite like a crossword. This is more of a grid where you have to put the words in, and these are all to do with jobs. And I would like to thank Vicky Cullen, who actually put together these, or completed these grids and crosswords for me. So she had good fun having a go. With these, what we would probably suggest, for example, you were given the M. So we look down, are there any jobs beginning with M? Well, yes, musician. So that might have got you going, and there are lots of other letters there to help you. Of course, it's a little bit more difficult when they begin with the same letter, but then it's worth counting up how many letters that particular job might have. So I know police and priest have got the same amount, but pilot's only got 5 letters, so that might have helped you with pilot coming down. So again, pause the video and you can double check, see how many of those you got correct. And then we've got to put all of those jobs all the way down through. So I'm not going to go down through all of them. I think it's probably just worth you pausing the video at this stage and checking that you got the right ones. Number 10 I'm just going to highlight for you, just because it may have been a new word for you. Who works in a museum? Call them a curator. A curator. I think most of the other professions you've hopefully heard of. Who designs buildings, or an architect. Again, go down through. If you've got them correct, give them a nice tick. And then down the bottom, you can give me a score out of 16. So when you've checked the, it's got a little definition of the actual job, and then you write the actual job next to it. So 16 out of 16 if you got all of those right. Don't worry if you got any wrong. And then next we've got a grid here. You've got to work out which number represents each letter to solve the puzzle. You have been given B to get you going. So what I would be tempted to do here, if I change my to a slightly thinner pen, if we went with B in here, and then you would find any other options where it's B. There's another B there. See, this is how you kind of approach this. Another B there, and then once you've put in all of your B's, you can kind of then use them to sort of guide you to work out the rest. I think the first one coming down here, I think it ends up being bike, and that obviously gets you going. Then I know that 25, I look at 25, yeah, that's an I, so you can put in all the I's, and then eventually you'll hopefully be able to complete the grid. They're not easy though, so give them a good go, and then you can double check once you've done it that your letters correspond to this grid here. So your numbers represent those individual letters. Good luck with that one. Okay, we then got the last bit, I think, on page 10. So I think we're in the right place here. Yes, on page 10. Hopefully you can just check these last ones. So what have we got? We've got some synonyms. So entertain, amuse, slide and glide, offence and a crime, document and file, eerie and strange, accuse and blame, finish and complete, entire, that's a great word, entire like a whole, globe and flame. Which of the words are antonyms? We're looking at antonyms now. Ordinary and strange, begin and complete, none and entire, stumble and glide, bore and amuse, and then forgive and blame. So well done if you managed to get all of your homework done. There was quite a lot there to work through. In the back of your book, right on the last page, so it's sort of 48, it's not actually put as 48, but if you turn over after page 47 you will see a grid, and you can actually colour in your grid and see how you got on. So for Unit 1 you've got 31, 30, 28, 26 questions, and 27, 25, 32, 33, and you can put your marks there and then colour in your grid.